Welcome to the King and Chapman Show. It is Tuesday, May 14th. I am Brent Chapman, and with me is the original Fab One, Jimmy King.
What it do? Rude.
Was that
to
a
my
pretty
good
good?
bros of Omega Psi Phi fraternity.
There we go. Was that is not the fraternity I was a part of, Jimmy. I was a Teak, Jimmy, Tau Kappa Epsilon. That was my fraternity, but that was many
Tau Kappa
years.
Epsilon. The Epsilons on campus in Michigan. I think they put a hole in the ground. The house that their fraternity house they used to sit on the corner. I think it's Hill and State Street. Yeah, they pretty much burned it down, blew it up, something. It's not there anymore.
The Teaks were definitely known for being rowdy on most campuses. They were not known for their study habits. At our school, it was more or less the football fraternity, which makes sense why I was part of it, right?
Of course.
Yeah, exactly, right.
The big hulking man that you are, Big B.
That's right. Well, Jimmy, it is Tuesday. It is a beautiful day. The Celtics dominated the Cavs last night, and we are going at it today, and we're going to talk about the games we got tonight, which is we're going to start out with the Nuggets and the Minnesota Timberwolves. Uh-oh, Jimmy. Last week, we were all about the Timberwolves. I mean, I think you and I were hosting the trophy for them. Yes,
shame on me.
And I would just like to say we were wrong. In the span of 20 seconds in Game 4, they gave up 15 points before halftime. And despite 44 points by Edwards, the Nuggets held Karl Anthony Towns to only 5 of 18 shooting. Not good. Gobert was pedestrian. And that's it. Series tied 2-2. So I want to level set this for you, Jimmy, real quick. So Minnesota winning in Denver, surprised everybody, took 2 in Denver. All they had to do was come back and get 1. They lost both. So now the series is reset. It's a 3-game series, 2 games in Denver, 1 in Minnesota. This is what we anticipated. Are the Nuggets back in control of this series, Jimmy King?
Yes, the Nuggets are back in control. And we do admit when we do make mistakes or make wrong picks, on King and Chapman, hey, we own up to it. But I think the Denver Nuggets are back on the roll, and I think they're going to have a what's called a championship sweep, meaning that they go down 2, but then they're going to run off 4 on their own for a reverse championship sweep.
Now, I get confused, Jimmy, but this is how it works, right? It goes back to Denver, then back to Minnesota, then back to Denver. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes, 1-1-1.
So you think they're gonna take these next 2 and it's gonna be over?
I think it's a wrap. I think they found their groove. I think Coach Malone dug into their tails the way that they needed to. I think the MVP of the league has showed up, and I think Jamal Murray has been taking his performances personally, and I think it's a tall task for the Timberwolves to overcome. I just think they're overmatched. I mean, you got your best player getting 44 points in the game, and you still lose. So it's a tall order to ask for Minnesota to overcome.
Here's what I think, Jimmy. I think you're going to get this one wrong again, and you're going to be And Nate is our production engineer. Nate, I think what we have to do is we have to start pulling in video of the great proclamations that Jimmy makes that are then wrong. I think that's better just to
And right.
play Jimmy's own voice. I don't know,
get some
Jimmy.
right ones now too now.
Jimmy, I tend to agree with everything that you just said, except for you just said it, which means it won't happen. So, so I think Minnesota is probably going to end up winning the next two. How about that?
No, not at all. The championships are back. So they're refocused. They got smacked in the mouth. They got punched in the mouth, and they responded. That's what you want to see. And they know what it takes to get to the next level. So they're not playing around. They're not playing around. I mean, the last game, they look like they were the aggressors offensively and defensively.
Well,
like
we're going to
holding Cat to 5 for 18 for shooting.
We're going to test you back to back, Jimmy, to see if you're a hypocrite or not. So now we're going to go over to the East and the Pacers and the Knicks. The Knicks started out this series, obviously, a little different at home and won both games. Then they turn around and, the Pacers have won both games. So here we go. 2-2 tie. Are the Pacers, and I want to say this, Jimmy. I was watching this game, and I turned it off when the Pacers had a 43-point lead. I mean, this was a absolute beatdown.
A sleeper.
It was. Are the Pacers for real, Jimmy?
The Pacers are for real, but the Knicks are banged up. They're, no excuses. Pacers handle their business.
Yeah, but is that focused? Are they going to be able to recover from that? I mean, they are really beat up. Brunson is just been taken.
Yeah, they look like they're suffering. Jalen looks like he's suffering, and New York looks like they lost a step. And again, it's a long season. They got a couple of guys too that that the Knicks are missing that could have made a difference in them progressing late in this turn or in the playoffs. But I don't want to be a hypocrite and say that the Pacers can't do it, but I think it's a different order for them. They haven't won. They're not a championship team. So I don't expect them to really know how to close out. I think the Knicks are gritty enough. I think they're tough enough to pull out another victory, especially if Jalen continues to grind through and play. And I think DiVincenzo is going to step up like he did in game in earlier in the series and make some big buckets.
Now, you were making fun of me last week, Jimmy, when I dare suggest that they rest Jalen Brunson in one of these games to get him healthy. I bet you I know you said Rick and Jalen and Tom Thibodeau would never do that. But sometimes you got to use this. You got to use this, bro.
Absolutely.
And he's hurt. Jimmy, I am now going to move us to the next topic, which I am very excited to discuss with you. Now, you may remember last week we had a pretty heated exchange. Can you hit that, Nate? Flip that over. Last week we had a pretty heated exchange about the NHL draft lottery. And you said that it's definitely rigged. And my comment was, and the reason why I say this is because this is very important for this. I said there's no way that if you put random ping pong balls for the teams, that they would come out exactly in the order that they were ranked. And they did. So it was definitely rigged. There were not random ping pong balls. Now, we turned to the NBA draft lottery, and they did the same thing. And guess what happened? The 10th team, number 10, won the draft. Now, you know what that tells me, Jimmy? They actually put ping pong balls in there and picked them out randomly. That happened. Yes. For 100%.
Don't fall for it. Don't go for it, B. Listen.
Dude, Would you hold on?
What?
No, I'm
You
going to
can have
interrupt.
both ends of the spectrum and still have the same scenario. They need a
Jimmy,
top pick in Atlanta because
Jimmy,
more than likely Trey is going to be traded.
Jimmy, there
And
is no
so,
way, there is no way that the NBA would screw the Detroit Pistons 2 years in a row. They were the
yeah,
worst team 2 years ago, and they got the fifth pick. Not
yeah.
second, not third, not fourth, fifth. And
Mhm.
then this year, they had the worst losing streak in the history of the NBA. And they didn't give them the first overall pick. They were fifth again. Oh my gosh.
The
The
Pistons are going to
league,
be much
the league
better,
must
or they
hate
should
the
be.
Pistons.
A year later, next year, the Pistons should be not as bad. I put it that way. I won't say they'll be better. They won't be as bad as they were this year. Them getting dropping down 2 years in a row to the fifth pick
It's
is like
horrible.
unconscionable. Like
So
it's
this is why, Jimmy.
unbelievable. Being in Detroit, for the majority of my life, 30 plus years, I'm a Detroiter. You know, that's my second home, really my first home. So as a fan, it's unbelievable to see them drop down like that. It's never happened in history before. I believe, you know, they had a few years ago projected to be the top pick, and it ended up being like the second or third. And so we just can't catch a break in the D, but that's okay. Not gonna cry about it. I understand it's a business. And if you follow the business, you know how to handle it. The
Jimmy.
Atlanta Hawks are going to end up trading Trey. They're going to end up trading him. So they need another guy that they can market in that area in Atlanta Hawks, team.
So
That's what's
Jimmy,
going on here.
so
It's
Jimmy
still
thinks
a
it's rigged,
business.
and Jimmy thinks the league picked the Hawks to have the number one pick, and he thinks they chose
Trey
to
Young is getting
screw the
traded.
Pistons twice in a row.
Yes.
Twice. That's
Yes.
wrong. Here's what I think.
Yeah, it's wrong.
Jimmy,
But they get
I
to
think,
write the script.
Jimmy,
That's why it's
here's
called
why
NBA entertainment.
it's simple, Jimmy. Follow the Brent Chapman rules. Just like I said with the NHL draft. If you're the worst team, you get the first pick. If you lose
This is
30,
business.
if you lose 30 freaking games in a row, you get the pick.
You deserve the
first
pick
in the draft.
Okay, maybe. I mean, in that scenario, maybe. But for the big picture and the long run and the model of the business, no. Trey Young is going to get traded. The Atlanta Hawks need another franchise player, and that's what's going on here.
The Pistons need 5 franchise players.
No, the Pistons are going to be all right. They're just young.
I am angry that they got screwed. Having grown up in Detroit, I am angry that they got screwed 2 years in a row. I think it's wrong. I think if you're the worst team, you get the first pick. That's it. Period. Maybe I'm old school. This lottery nonsense has to come to an end.
Just get better.
This lottery nonsense. See, the NHL does it right. They tell you there's a lottery, but there's not really a lottery. They just give it an order, but they make you think there's a lottery, so you won't take.
Well, the NBA did that too. They just advanced. They just be like, you know what? We actually know you guys know that there's always going to be some kind of drama in the pick. So we're just going to lean into it.
Okay. Well, Jimmy, going from that to a Hall of Famer, an NFL Hall of Famer, Jerry Rice's son, Jerry the GOAT, the greatest of all time, and I honestly don't think it's even close. I don't think anyone questions that he's the greatest receiver of all time. His son, Brendan Rice, played at USC, and he was projected to be a mid-round pick. In fact, Jim Harbaugh, who ended up drafting him in the second receiver overall, he even said they had like a third to fourth round grade on him. Now, Brennan Rice, after the game, said his dad was hot. He was hot, Jimmy. He was hot. You know, this guy thought that his son, hell no. This is what Jerry Rice said. Hell no. We're going to take this to a different level. These guys are going to feel us. So, I think what that means is Jerry is going to make Brendan train his booty off for the he is going to push him, and I think Brendan's motivated too. Hey, my dad was the greatest of all time. I want to show that I can be a great receiver. Now, here's the thing. He's 6'3", 208 pounds. He's bigger than his dad. His dad was a great route runner, could get open, could beat anybody. Brendan's more of a big player. Now, he led USC with 14.8 yards per reception. So he can play. It's not like he wasn't on the bench or something. He can play. He's a good receiver. And one other thing I'll say, Jimmy, and then I want to ask you if he'll prove the haters wrong, is it's not uncommon in the NFL for late drafted or undrafted wide receivers to make an impact. It is not. Some quarterbacks, that doesn't happen very often. In some positions, it doesn't happen. But with receivers, we see it all the time. We see it all the time because in the NFL, when it comes to receiver, it's stuff that's really hard to identify for scouts in college. It's in college, you can be really fast and just have major, but your route running, your attitude and your effort, your work ethic, those are things they can't see on tape. And those things are what make receivers successful in the NFL. So do you think Brendan Rice will prove the haters wrong? Maybe not be as good as his dad, although he did say he wanted to have a better rookie season than his dad. So what say you, Jimmy King?
I think that he has a great resource in the GOAT and Jerry Rice, also being just upset as anyone that he dropped to the seventh round, and he wants to prove to the world and everybody in the NFL that he should have been a higher pick and that he's worthy to be a higher pick. So, I mean, I don't like you. I don't think he'll have a great. I mean, it's a tall order to say that he's going to surpass the GOAT, the greatest to ever do it. The numbers that Jerry has amassed are ridiculous. You know, it'll take a very long career, an exceptional career, uh, you know, and to play with the other Hall of Famers, particularly a quarterback, that will help him, you know, achieve that level of success.
No, Jimmy, let me ask you because you've experienced this, right? You were a very high ranked prospect out of high school, right? You were one of the Fab Five at Michigan, at the University of Michigan, and then obviously played in the pros overseas, and now you have had sons as well that have gone on and played high school and college ball. When you're in the tell us about how that is as the dad and what your sons can you really is there really much you can do, like can Jerry really make that big of a difference, or is it just kind of what it is based on their athletic ability and their ability to play, or is football different than basketball even? Maybe I'm curious what your thoughts are.
No, I think it's I think it's just sports psychology. I think that it's predicated on the individual and how motivated they are, the resources that they have, and a lot of times it's the organization that they're with and the team and how they view them and use them. You know, he may be used sparingly. He may not be that guy, um, you know, like his father was, you know, early on in his career. Or you know, he might be targeted. You know, be the number one receiver and put amass the numbers that his father had. But it's too many variables in there. But I think that with Jerry knowledge base and knowing what he knows, the biggest advantage is going to be what he does outside of football that will keep him focused on the job at hand. I think that's the biggest advantage that he can have versus other players who are coming into the league that don't have that type of resource, or a father who played in the league and
Because
at
what
that
you can
level.
offer your kids, right, is how to train, is how to is how to prepare yourself, is how to behave, right? Those are the things you can impart to them. But at the end
Mhm.
of the day, they've got to go perform, right? You're
Yep,
not
and
shooting the
they gotta
ball
do
for
it.
them. You're not playing the game,
No,
but you
not
can help
catching,
them
not running the
prepare.
routes. Yeah, and again, practice is different than the game. I've seen guys who sucked at practice but were gamers, and I've seen guys that just all world in practice, and the lights come on and they lock up. So again,
Well,
it goes to the psyche of the individual.
so keeping on our topic of fathers and sons, let's talk about Bronny James. So Bronny
LeBron.
had a cardiac arrest and a procedure to repair a congenital heart defect little less than a year ago. He has been medically cleared to be drafted and is doing quite well in the combine right now. Now, Jimmy, we didn't have this show a couple of years ago, but one thing that and this is what I really want to talk about is LeBron said many years ago that his plan, his contract was structured to end now, okay, so that he could become a free agent. And he said, "Ever drafts my son, I will sign a minimum veteran contract to play with Bronny so that I can play with my son and I can finish the last couple of years of my career with my son." So now, when he said that, I think everyone expected Bronny to be a big college star. That didn't happen. He averaged 5 points a game on a USC team. He obviously had this cardiac issue, but he is going in the NBA draft. So, does this promise by LeBron hold firm? Do you believe he will go where Bronny is drafted? And if yes, does that impact Bronny's draft stock?
Well, this is a huge thing because we've never seen this before, and so to predict it is crazy. But I do believe I think he wouldn't have put it out there. I don't think LeBron is just blowing smoke. I mean I know that he wants to play with his son. It's seemingly so, and so from what I've been hearing and reading, if he's willing to sign a contract, a veterans minimum, to play with Bronny, then whatever teams picks him, yeah, I expect LeBron to find a way to get on the squad. But I think the easiest way is just for the Lakers to obviously keep LeBron and draft Bronny in the second round.
Oh, you do. So you're thinking the Lakers pick him up, keep LeBron, make LeBron happy by taking Bronny
Absolutely.
because no one else is obviously going to draft him because he's not really that high of a prospect. Here's what I think. Um, I think that if I'm Troy Weaver, the general manager of the Detroit Pistons, that I give Mr. James a call and say, "Hey, if Bronny is number 5, that thing that you said 2 years ago, is that still for real?" Because if
I guess you got
because
to check. I mean, I wouldn't be mad at. I mean, as a general manager, yeah, you gotta overturn every
I'm
stone.
telling
I
you,
would I would
I'm
make that
telling,
call, but
I'm telling you
think
right
you
now.
got to look at it long term though. Like, how
No,
many
you
years
don't.
is LeBron
No, you
actually
don't.
going to play?
No, you don't,
And
Jimmy. I'm telling.
Bronny is
No,
not, in my opinion, probably not worth a fifth pick in the draft. I think you could, do much better
who
than a 5 point
worth
scorer off the bench from USC.
Jimmy? Worth to who? Worth to the general manager? Worth to the coach? Worth to
But
the
that's
owner?
what I'm saying. How many
Now I'm gonna put.
games?
If I
How
am
many?
a
Okay, if you let LeBron tell it, he needs quality role players that he says he didn't have in Miami. So what do you think he's going to do, or what's going to happen when he goes to the Pistons that lost 30 in a row? What
Okay.
what what kind of changes you think LeBron is going to exact according to the things that we've seen him do in the past
That's not what he
10
said. He
years?
said he would go where he was drafted. So I'm just saying this. If I'm Tom Gores or I'm an owner in the NBA, especially if my team is, I don't know, in Detroit or Charlotte
Uh,
or somewhere like that,
I'm not doing that.
I am bringing LeBron James to town for 2 years, and I'm going to sell out every freaking game and sell a billion jerseys and sell a bunch of
Do you really
bobbleheads,
want to know
and
what's
I'm
going
going
to
to
happen
put
in the
the
D?
king on the side of my stadium, and I'm going
They're
to
gonna
put him on
run.
the
They're gonna
side
run
of every
LeBron out
bus
of
in
Detroit.
town, and I am going
Detroit
to make
love
a
their
crap
basketball.
load of money.
They're gonna be mad as hell if Detroit pick Bronny at fifth. It's gonna
If
be an
Bronny
uprising in the D.
if Bronny comes, if
I'm
Bronny
telling you right
comes
now. Listen.
with
We don't play
LeBron James,
around in the
hell,
D,
if I were the Spurs,
especially about
I
the
would take him.
basketball. We got the Lions rolling right now, and then we gonna waste the pick. Like we could have some pretty good sports figures going on right here in Detroit.
If
You
I'm the
can't waste that
Spurs,
pick.
if I'm the Spurs, I draft Bronny because I got LeBron and I got Wemby. That's what I'm
And
talking
Bronny.
about. I'm
and
gonna
you're
put
gonna and you're
LeBron
gonna
with
lose in the
Wemby.
play-in game as a 10th seed.
This is genius by LeBron. He's played all the places he wanted to play. Played in Miami. He played in his hometown, Cleveland. He played out with the Lakers. He's played everywhere he wanted to play. Let's have some fun, he said. Just let some random team pick me, and I'll go there. What if
Well, he might as well
Milwaukee?
go back. He might as well go
What if,
back to Cleveland and play
no,
with
what if
Donovan.
Milwaukee picked?
That'd be a better fit.
What if
And then it's
Milwaukee
close to
got
Akron,
Bronny?
close to home. He'd be a hometown boy. They'll sell out.
I'm
And then
telling
he
you,
and then he
I
could roll
think
right into the front office or management or part ownership or whatever.
the press, and I'm going to end on this, Jimmy. The press is not doing their job. If the next question asked to LeBron is not, are you sticking with what you said 2 years ago? Because that's what I want to know. Because I don't think this is about drafting Bronny. I think this is about, can you get LeBron, and can you
Can you
bring
get
LeBron to
LeBron?
your city? And if I could
I
bring
get it.
LeBron to
But
my city,
how many years are you going to get out of LeBron? You got 2 years at
that's
best.
it. Do you know how many? Did you miss my
For
rant about
for a
20
number
seconds
5
ago?
pick.
I can put his picture on the side of my stadium. I can sell LeBron
So you're
jerseys.
going to give up 10 years potentially of a great player or a good
Jimmy,
player for 2 and
Jimmy, I
no
want you to,
championship. You're not winning the
Jimmy,
championship.
Jimmy, I want you to listen very carefully to what I'm about to say. Okay. Hell yeah, I am. Yes, sir. Yes, I am.
You know what? And just when I thought that you were making a great points and solid decisions as a general manager, you're fired.
I'm
No
fired.
way.
Are you saying I can't be your assistant
No way.
GM anymore, Jimmy? Have I been not fired? I'm trying to bring ticket
Of
sales
course,
to our
my brother.
town, Jimmy.
But while we're in the war room, though, we're definitely like if Bronny's name comes out of your mouth, yeah, we got to do something.
Dude, I think. Can you imagine if Bronny came to Dallas for a year? Ooh. All right, Jimmy. Moving along to, I guess it is a sport, and it is a sport we've not covered yet, but we cover all sports on the King and Chapman show. We're going to talk about NASCAR. Let's talk about
Yeah.
NASCAR. Brad
Talk about
Keselowski had won 36 races in his career, but he's had a little bit of a problem, Jimmy. He hasn't been able to win a race in 3 years, but that ended this weekend. He won for the second time at Darlington Raceway, and which, you know, many say is one of the toughest courses, and broke his 3 drought win. So, Jimmy, Tell me, are you impressed by the Keselowski comeback? Or is this just
Absolutely.
like whatever?
No. Anytime you go through a 3-year drought and you have 36 in the bag, that has to weigh on you mentally.
Yeah, look at
You know,
Tiger.
people
Tiger
start
went
doubting
years.
you. You might start doubting yourself for the first time ever, and then you start overcompensating, doing things you normally wouldn't do that you feel like you might need to make a change. But staying with the course, sticking with it, and persevering. That's what I appreciate. He didn't jump teams. He didn't go to a different organization.
No,
Like you got to fight through it. That's what I appreciate.
I think it's impressive. And I think that, I think whenever you're down, like, dude, I'm in a drought for 3 years. I ain't coming back. I'm just telling you. If Brent Chapman is ever in a 3-year drought, it's over, bro. It's over. So
Hang it up, huh?
so props to Mr. Keselowski for his
Absolutely.
comeback. So I don't want anyone to say that we only talk about basketball or we only talk about football. We got NASCAR in today, but we're gonna move to the last word, Jimmy, and I will go first today. I know that, Jimmy, we couldn't make it a week without giving you a UFL update. I know you love an update on the UFL. So there was a big matchup this weekend. The two best teams in the league, undefeated Birmingham Stallions, played the 5-1 St. Louis Battlehawks. And it went down to the end. Stallions quarterback Andrew Martinez threw 3 touchdown passes, and they won 30-26. Jimmy, big victory for the Stallions against the Battlehawks in the UFL, and now they're in the driver's seat. And because they're in different conferences, we could see them again in the championship game on June 16th in St. Louis, where the Battlehawks are from. So this could be quite a rematch for the championship if we get that. That's what I'm talking about, Jimmy, UFL. And by the way, your boy Jake Bates had another couple field goals this weekend, so he keeps it cooking. But no 60-yarders this weekend, Jimmy.
No 60-yarders. Okay, that's what I was looking for. I was about to say if he had another 60-yarder,
Nope.
if we're going to make a campaign to get this guy on an NFL squad immediately.
I don't think you're going to have to campaign too hard for him.
So,
all right, Jimmy,
my
what
last
you got?
word, real quick. My last word is about the draft, the lottery. It's all fixed, man. I don't care if it's the NFL, NBA, NHL. It's all fixed. This is a business. They got to uphold.
Not fixed in the NFL. Level. It is not fixed in the NFL. The last place team gets the first pick. Well, it could be
not fixed in the NFL. Do you remember what Eli Manning said? Don't draft me.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember.
And what happened?
The Chargers drafted him, and then a trade miraculously happened to the team he wanted to go to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm not. I mean, look, the commissioner might have been involved in that. The league might have been involved in making sure that happened.
And shout out to Jim Harbaugh for drafting the GOAT's son.
I love it. And I'm wishing for the GOAT to be successful, the GOAT's son to be successful, and for Bronny James to be successful. And for the Pistons to pick Bronny James 5th overall, which Jimmy
we
says
wish the best
crazy.
for Bronny and LeBron in their future, but don't come to Detroit. I'm telling you right now, we have some problems in the D. We don't play with that diva stuff in the D. I'm just telling you right now, it's gonna be problems up there.
Mavericks don't have a first-round pick for like the next 7 years, so maybe they'll take him in the second round or something. Right?
I got your back, LeBron. Detroit. We ain't doing that.
That's it, Jimmy. We're done for today. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Jimmy. Are you ready, Jimmy? You got it? You got it? You got it? You got it? Peace.
Got it. Peace.